So we get the match here. It's Brie, Bella, and Paige versus Charlexa here. So they are back with back from commercial with Brie getting beaten down and the crowd chanting, "We want Paige." Brie is really, really close to getting the tag, but here comes the debuting. Jacy Jayne pulling Paige from the corner, driving her right into the steel steps. She is followed by Lainey Reed and Fallon Henley coming in, and they are attacking everybody in the ring. All three members of Fatal Attraction have been called up here, and this is our first call up of, well, I guess the first three call ups of this particular show on SmackDown. A bit of a surprise here because for me, at least, John, sorry, Neil, I'm surprised I haven't made that mistake more often, but. As far as like call-ups go, we don't usually see factions get brought up together out of NXT. Usually one person gets brought up and then the others maybe stay behind to either take over the faction or to lead their own story. And I thought they would spend a bit more time developing Fallon, Henley, and Lainey Reed here. But of course this makes sense, like especially considering the incredible influx of people they have coming into NXT and how, again, TV time on NXT now is a luxury to have. And so I think the bar for determining whether somebody is ready is a lot different now, maybe in 2026 than it might have been maybe 3-4 years ago. There are just so many people, and when you look at it, I mean, Jacy Jayne, of course, is more than ready, but Fallon Henley and I would say Lainey Reed, I think are, as proven maybe tonight, like more than TV ready for this sort of, at least to start, supporting role. Would you say, Neil? What did you think about this call?
I agree with you 100%. I feel it's no real surprise to see Jacy Jayne make it to the main roster. I was somewhat surprised to see all three of them together and interested by that. I thought, oh, that's quite a cool move to bring all of Fatal Influence together in the call up. Let's see how they do. And I was very impressed by, not so much this beatdown. I mean, anyone could do that, but their performance throughout this show, I think all three of them was very strong. So I agree with you that if this first episode with the three of them together is anything to go by, this is a strong call up.
Yeah, Jayne and Reed have both been signed since 2021. So Jayne and Henley have both been signed since 2021. So for the both of them, certainly it's been time. But like Lainey Reed, I mean, kind of lucked out here, joining the group just in October here. Like she's kind of like the Ringo Starr of the group, like she comes in and but like Ringo Starr, she is very good. And you can certainly see from her in-ring work, you could make the argument she might be the best of the three in-ring. So I'm very excited to see how all of them develop. I thought, like you said, a lot more to come here with this group on this particular episode for their debut. So Rhea Ripley comes out. It's her time to prove that the women's champion is a fighting champion, and she calls out anybody in the back. And who comes out? Well, it's Fatal Influence, once again, led by Jacy Jayne here. There is a ton of heat for Fatal Influence. I'm talking Dominic Mysterio, Don Callis level heat. And Jacy is able to stoke these flames really, really well. She again, it shows how TV ready she is, how capable she is in front of large crowds like this, and being able to really at least command and toy with this energy in some ways. She looked really confident out there. So the heat just continues, and they are drowning these three when they're trying to speak. They completely quiet down as Rhea starts talking, but once Jacy and Fallon and Lainey start speaking again, the boos come right back up. Rhea, if you're able to decipher any sort of message coming out of this, Rhea basically says she isn't afraid of the numbers disadvantage and tells Jayne to take her shot. Jayne responds, and again, the crowd drowns out her response, but this is enough to allow Nick Aldis to come out to make the match for right now between Jacy Jayne and Rhea Ripley. As far as reactions go for somebody just debuting, I don't know if heels could expect and want a greater reaction than this.
Yeah. They couldn't possibly have expected this, and it fell into their lap, and Jacy did a brilliant job with it, stoking it up. This is my time, telling the crowd to shut up, looking at her watch, saying, I've got all the time in the world, I'll wait all night. She was excellent at, the crowd, for whatever reason, gave them an awful lot of shit, huge heat. And she just did a masterful job for a new call-up in front of an arena-sized crowd of stoking it. And I just thought, yeah, it's great.
This, just even this segment alone, you know, like not even talking about the match yet, I thought like made this group feel like they are a dominant presence on the show. And again, like Jacy's sort of comfort in this sort of reaction, I mean, probably said a whole lot about how capable she is for all this. So we get our match, Jacy Jayne versus Rhea Ripley here. Wade, I thought, was doing a very good job here, of course, giving us some background on Fatal Influence on commentary. He you know, through his NXT experience is very valuable in the booth for matches like this. Rhea delivers the Razor's Edge and running knee for a 2 count. The prison trap is escaped. Riptide is attempted, but Fatal Influence come in and attack to cause the DQ, which I think might not be so surprising. They hold Rhea in place for the rolling encore. This match, you know, being, I would say, a very similar playbook, almost the exact same playbook as Liv versus Soul on Monday. Put the new debut against the champion, give them a relatively sort of like 50-50 fight, leading to a DQ here. But hopefully the overall effect here is to show where the new wrestler stands in relation to the benchmark as far as, you know, competitive level goes. How successful do you think that was achieved?
I think very successful. In fact, I was somewhat surprised, given that this is a heel stable, how much they gave to Jacy Jayne without the help of the other members of Fatal Influence. They of course did, you know, bits and pieces of heel stuff, but Jacy was shown to have an awful lot of strength on her own to counter a lot of moves that Rhea delivered. You know, from the electric chair into a roll up, that sort of razor's edge type move into a boot. Some of the near falls that she got out of that you would not normally see. They built her up very strong. I don't think Jacy Jayne has got to be a very, very happy woman tonight with how this whole debut went, from the heat, from the opening promo to the match itself. And the other two, they did their job very well too, even if it was just the facial expressions and, you know, some of the physicality.
The whole group got a really strong showcase here. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're the only 3-person faction in the women's division right now, right? Can you think of any others? Like since Damage Control?
No, not at the moment.
None other, right? So by default, I mean, they are arguably the most dominant, you know, thread. I suppose if you're not counting, what is it, Lyra their Irresistible Forces. But they off the bat, they feel like a serious threat to the entire division, which we will get maybe more confirmation of a little bit later. Then we hear from Charlexa in the back. They are in the trainer's room getting checked out after their attack by Fatal Influence. And Rhea Ripley comes in here. And, we get a little bit of a reunion between Rhea and Charlotte. And the three of them now, these three veterans and stars, you could say, of this division, all have a common enemy now in Fatal Attraction. Charlotte says she's going to take care of Jacy Jayne next week, unlike Rhea tonight. So, again, you have the biggest stars on this roster on the women's side of things, all targeting Fatal Attraction and talking about them and looking at them and reeling from their attacks like they're a serious threat. So I'm loving this direction already. I'm loving this direction for Rhea and Charlotte and Alexa, and certainly Fatal Attraction coming out of all this.
Yeah, I think we're going to get another week of strength for Fatal Attraction out of this, and then perhaps these three have to team up. Through some elements of luck and some elements of just really good booking and really good performances, this is one of the better call-ups I can recall in recent years.
Agreed.
It is WrestleMania month at postwrestling.com. Wei Ting and John Pollock go live all WrestleMania week beginning Monday, April the 13th. Sign up for the Post Wrestling Cafe and you will get live shows all week long leading into our coverage that weekend of WrestleMania 42. This month, we're also bringing you reviews of Spring Break 2 from New Orleans in 2018 and a special Patrons Pick edition of Rewind Away. Sign up now at postwrestlingcafe.com, and this month, new subscribers get 50% off for the first month. Head on over to postwrestlingcafe.com.